Welcome to ClueCon Weekly. Join us every Wednesday to learn about the latest cutting-edge developments in the real-time communications industry. ClueCon Weekly is brought to you by FreeSWITCH Solutions. Get support and professional services directly from the creators of the FreeSWITCH open source project, solving your issues in the most efficient, stable, and scalable way possible. Get the FreeSWITCH advantage. Visit freeswitch.com. Also brought to you by ClueCon, the premier technology conference for developers by developers. Join us every summer in Chicago. ClueCon kicks off on Monday with our annual hackathon, The Coder Games, followed by 3 days of technology-rich presentations discussing telecom, WebRTC, and IoT from developers around the world. To learn more, visit ClueCon.com or call 877-74-CLUE.
And welcome to ClueCon Weekly. Today is the 14th of November, 2018, and this week we're going to be joined by Allison Smith. For you guys that don't know Allison, she is the IVR voice. If you've heard her voice on numerous IVRs, especially with open source, Asterisk, she's been the voice there for years. She's got a complete sound file set for FreeSWITCH you can get, and you may have heard her also wandering through big box stores and then various other locations out there. So she's going to be talking today about a lot of the things that she's got going on and some advice that you guys can use on your own IVR. So stand by for that. First, let's go over to Miss Abby for the news. Abby, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today on ClueCon Weekly. So if you haven't heard yet, we are now on Slack. So of course, you can still contact us through all of the traditional methods that you're used to. But if you're interested in that, in joining our FreeSWITCH community Slack channel, you can find that link on our Facebook page, on our website under news, or in the chat of this YouTube video. So as always, if you have any questions during this call, you can comment them in the YouTube, HipChat, IRC, and now the new Slack channels, and we will try to answer those during this call. So if you're watching us on YouTube right now, please give this video a share so that some other people can catch it too. And please make sure to follow us on all of our socials. We just reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you everybody for that. And we are about, last time I checked, we are 9 followers away from reaching 5,000 followers on Twitter. So if you're not following us yet, be sure to go to our FreeSWITCH Twitter page and give us a follow. If we get that 5,000, I've got a little bit of a surprise in store, so a little bit of incentive. As always, it is never too early to start thinking about ClueCon, and this year is very, very special because it is our 15th anniversary. So you do not want to miss out on ClueCon 15. We are back at the Swiss Hotel again, August 5th through the 8th. So make sure to save those dates in your calendar, August 5th through 8th at the Swiss Hotel in Chicago. And this year is going to be extra special because VoiceTel is going to be officially sponsoring the boat tour on Thursday for the 3rd year in a row. It's always really popular. It's a great way to take a break from, learning about the tech industry and really just see what the city of Chicago has to offer. It's really beautiful. So we're very thankful for that. All right, that's all I have for the announcements today. Back to you, Ken.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miss Abby. Now we're going to go over to Mr. Michael Malvarutis for Community Corner. Hey, Mike, how are you doing today, sir?
Wonderful. Today we have a question for you, Ken.
Oh, really now? So what kind of question do we have here for me?
Okay, so Ken, I've got a bug. I don't know what to do with it. How do I report it? Can I put it on the mailing list?
Well, you can, but you're probably not going to get a lot happen there on the mailing list. Or you might actually get, hey, please report bugs to JIRA. So what you want to do is you want to go to freeswitch.org/JIRA or go to freeswitch.com or freeswitch.org, and you can navigate through the menus there. It's linked right off the top menu, and you want to report your bugs there. Now, how do you actually do that? That process is documented quite thoroughly on Confluence. So if you go to Confluence, there's a little search box up at the top, and you can just type in reporting bugs and hit enter. and it will take you right to the page for reporting bugs and give you all the info that you want to collect. So one of the things that the core team does request is that you test on the latest version of FreeSWITCH or on the master branch, and that way you can see if your bug's already been fixed or not. If you're having something like a seg fault, the instructions there on reporting bug tell you how to get the backtrace. Please don't send us a core file. The core file is unique to your machine, and there's not a lot we can do with it. But if you follow directions for using GDB to get a backtrace, you can attach that to your JIRA, and that gives the developer looking at the problem a lot of information on how, on what's actually going on under the hood of your problem. So be sure to include that information. Always include as much information as possible on there, because too little information, the dev is just going to ask you for it anyway. And, and if the dev does come back and ask you for more information, please be sure you respond in a timely manner. Else what will happen is, 2 weeks later, you'll respond to it, and that dev is now trying to find time to fit your bug in when they were already looking at it before. So he's got to figure out where he was all over again on it. So that helps out also. But if you've got a seg fault, it's probably a bug, and probably just go straight to JIRA and report it. And always do that. JIRA, and go there.
So the question I've always gotten stuck on is the teapot question. How should I answer that?
I don't know. Short and stout?
Thank you, Ken.
All right, Mike. Now, who we got coming up next, Mike?
Sorry. We have Locks Up with Abby. Do you, Abby?
Hello. Hi.
Oh, come on. There we go.
I'm back. All right. So if you haven't heard of the blog spot yet, that's just where we take 5 minutes to talk about some things we've been posting on our FreeSWITCH blog. So if you haven't stayed up to date with that, be sure to go to our website and check out some of those. And feel free to give your favorite one a share. Let us know. That way we know what kind of things you like to read about, and we can tailor it more to our community. So today is November 14th, which means that it's not yet Thanksgiving. But that also means that people get really mad when you try to start celebrating Christmas early. So I can't do a special Christmas episode, and it's a little late to do a Halloween episode, but since we can't be doing Christmas, I'm just going to stay in the spooky mood and tell a couple hacker horror stories today until Thanksgiving, and then we'll do something cute for Thanksgiving. So here we go. Hacker horror story number 1, and these are all based on true stories. In fact, they're 100% true stories. So, hacker horror story number 1 is Roy Sun from 2014. So, the year was 2014, and an electrical engineering student at Purdue University in Indiana was fed up with attending class. An idea struck him one night in his tiny dorm room bed. Instead of actually going to class, he could use his hacking skills to change all of the F's to A's. And this is no cartoon plot. This is real life. This actually happened, and his plan actually worked. He did not attend a single class of his senior year, and yet he was able to graduate with straight A's. And it took them a long time to notice, but unfortunately, right before he could graduate, the boy was caught, and he was sentenced to a long 90 days in jail for fraud. So Roy was the hero Purdue deserved, but not the one it needed. So he almost got away with it, but not quite. So hacker horror story number 2 was the PlayStation Network hack of 2011. So computers are not the only technology vulnerable to hackers. It was a dark and stormy night in 2011. Millions of gamers were enjoying their 3rd consecutive day playing Portal 2 when the terror struck. PlayStation's online network was compromised by an incursion that lost the personal data of 77 million customers worldwide. 77 million. The most terrifying part is that the hack caused a 3-week network shutdown, crushing news for all gamers. And Sony lost a whopping $171 million dealing with the aftermath of this, with this hack. Pretty scary. All right. Hacker horror story number 3 is the Melissa virus of 1999. So, New Jersey programmer David L. Smith was the mastermind behind the Melissa virus, which was the most evil piece of chainmail that ever existed. So 1999 was a simpler time when people thought they could trust their emails. Wrong. The software hid behind the scary disguise of a Microsoft Word document and spread through email. The evil document actually sent itself automatically to the first 50 names in the email's contact list, and the virus spread like wildfire, affecting up to 20% of computers worldwide. Ooh. And our last hacker horror story is about the FBI and a 15-year-old boy. So, in an impressive feat of espionage, a 15-year-old boy managed to hack the United States FBI database and release detailed information about all of the undercover FBI agents on the dark web. The horrific part of this story is that an amateur hacker who was 15 years old was able to break into a government system that was supposed to be extremely secure and sophisticated. It's pretty scary to think that a 15-year-old got their hands on such important information, and we can only hope that it won't happen again. All right, see you next week with a Thanksgiving-themed episode. Back to you, Ken.
So today we have Allison Smith, who needs absolutely no introduction. Her voice is the most committed voice in the telephony world. And we all know and love it and hear it everywhere we go.
Aw, you're adorable. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for coming on today. So I actually got to see you in person in Orlando at Astricon.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh, well, it was great. It was great to be back in Orlando. And Astricon, I refer to it as the high holy days of telephony. I just have so much fun. People seem to enjoy this year's dress, which was basically made of previous year's Astricon t-shirts. So that was kind of an interesting use of the old swag.
That was very cool. I saw that. That was really neat.
Actually, Julie wanted to auction it off to raise money for her dog charity, but I don't want to meet the guy that is the highest bidder that wants my dress. I don't know.
It's a little scary, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But, Mike, actually, I think you were moderating my talk, which was called Why is IVR Important and Why Isn't It Important? Brother Balashov pointed out that my talk is really not all that different from any other talk that I give, and it's true. I'm really not qualified to talk about anything except IVR from the point of view of a professional telephone voice who voices these prompts every day, all day. That's my core competency. So I not only just voice stuff and collect the paycheck, I really do care about telephone systems and making them better and less awful to listen to. I mean, sometimes when I tell people what I do at a party, they go, oh, you voice those are awful. So I want to change the public's perception of IVR.
So I've got to say, out of all the different, I moderated about 5 or 6 different people, yeah. And you had the biggest turnout out of all of them.
Well, it could be that, it's that extra chromosome that makes me female. Who knows what draws the people to the talks. Also, I think because my talk is not technical at all. No, you guys start talking about SIP GUI interface, blah, blah, blah. And my eyes kind of glaze over. So no, I am not technical. And so maybe that's what the draw is, that people just really want to hear about things like IVR and ways to improve it. But as you'll notice, because you were moderating, you probably noticed that I turned the Q&A session over to the audience and asked them what they thought IVR was going to turn into with this, with automation, with voice-guided applications everywhere. I was asking about exactly how relevant I'm going to be. And the overall impression, especially after listening to Evan's talk, which I did not do. It was conflicting when I was moderating other sessions. He was talking about automated voices and how people wanting to enter that arena will have less control over their product, and there will be more room for abuse and taking those prompts and using them in unauthorized ways. Whereas someone like myself, who is already very branded, I'm probably in a really good position to do a good mix of automation and custom prompts, because I think people will always still need customized IVR prompts. In fact, you did recently. You hired me to do your IVR, and it was a fun project to work on.
Yeah, yeah. And so one of the things I found so interesting about your talk is, I think some people overlook this, is when somebody calls a company,
Yeah.
you're the message that's given out there is so important.
Yeah.
And it's so important that it's done in an efficient and effective way. And people
Yeah.
have the tendency to lose their bearings with that. So can
Yeah.
you tell me some of the good stories and some of the bad stories you've seen?
Well, the bad stories are really more of just sort of a yet another script of, for this, press that, for that, press this. And it's just sort of plods along. Michael, people spend so much money on designing a brand for their social media presence, for their website, even their, paper products, their business cards. A lot of people have YouTube channels, and they work really hard to make sure that their brand is really unified. For some reason, the telephone system gets left out of that brand messaging. And I'm trying to get people to think about how
And it
the
shouldn't. It's so important.
Yeah, I mean, the IVR needs to match the company. When I get a script from a company, I immediately go to their website and try to get a feel for exactly what they're like. They might be an investment banking firm, but I can't really make a decision that that's serious and traditional and, straight down the road. Don't take any creativity with it, because a lot of people are rebranding themselves. I did an IVR for an auto body shop, and I just loved the script because it was literally saying something like this: "Hi, you've called North Shore Auto Body. We understand that if you're calling us, you're not having a great day." Because no one would call an auto body shop if they're having a great day. Your car has been injured and they want to get you back on the road as soon as possible. So they met that need of the customer head on, no pun intended, head on, and said, "Listen, why don't we play up this idea that people are stressed and in an awful mood, and sound reassuring and sound like, hey, listen, we got this." That kind of thing. So I think actually in my talk, I also had the example of a funeral home, a chain of funeral homes that I did, and they were trying to get out of that whole somber, we're so sorry for your loss kind of thing. They were really more, hey, let's get you through this difficult time in your life. And also there was a segment of their on hold system where they were actually trying to get younger people into thinking about investing in a funeral service and a plot as part of their investment portfolio.
It's like commit suicide now.
I know. It's so creepy. Yes.
We really love and appreciate your business. Kill yourself now.
If this happens before December, we have 20% off. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know how we can do that. But anyhow, I applaud any company that tries to change up their IVR and not just use it as a way of shuttling callers to various different departments. Yes, that's kind of the mechanism. That's what it's designed to do. But it's definitely... it's about so much more than that. And so I'm really excited. I'm invited to speak at IT Expo on the main stage. So again, I'll be talking about ways to use IVR to boost the bottom line. And I'll also be speaking at Asterisk World as well. So it's a busy January for me for speaking.
So I heard you have a new big customer.
Yes, perhaps you've heard of them. Samsung. Oh yeah. So yes, I was approached by Samsung worldwide. We're starting with the Canadian IVR and then doing some other worldwide call center stuff. So I'm super excited about it. It should be like a big ongoing thing. I even had to wrangle a French-Canadian male voice talent. So I'm going to have to edit his sound files, even though I don't technically speak the language. I'll have to figure that out.
You're
But
gonna have
anyhow,
to learn it.
yeah, exactly. And maybe there's some free swag. Who knows? I'm a big fan of Samsung smartphones. So, yeah. So Samsung, pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
I would go for the phones though. And so, what component are they having you do? Are they going to have like some type of like OTT component there, or
No, it's their straight up IVR, so outward facing, so and inward as well. So it'll be their corporate IVR, also the customer facing IVR, and call center stuff as well. So they're learning, they're going to be upgrading everything. And believe it or not, this is the rumor. I think they actually used a staff person, which, as you and I know, is less than ideal. So I think they've decided to outsource it to, an
well, it's
outside.
job protection for sure.
Totally, totally. But as you know, when people get a phone system, they're excited about getting it up and running, and literally the last thing they think about is, oh my gosh, we have an opening greeting, an after hours greeting, we have a staff menu. Who are we going to get to do it? So often the client themselves does it. Often it's you guys. I talk to a lot of installers and resellers who end up having to voice the IVR, or people just grab their admin. They just grab the admin or secretary and just say, hey, just do this. The danger in that is that they're not a pro. They're probably not going to be available to do updates, and they're going to be recording directly over the phone, which is less than ideal, as you know.
It's just so funny, the concept. Like, you think of like a big company like Samsung, and then all of a sudden the HR department has like a little like earpiece in the person's file being like, do not fire. They are the IVR.
They are the IVR. Well, there's a huge cable conglomerate up here in Canada called Shaw Cable. They own everything. If you call in with a problem with your DCT box or whatever, you will encounter probably 10 different voices on their IVR. And they're a massive company. They are literally just grabbing people on staff and saying, listen, we need you to voice this trouble ticket message
And
on our
it's so unprofessional. It really
It's
is.
very unprofessional. Yeah, it's not cohesive. And again, there's no big science to what I do. Literally, I walk up to a microphone and I make sounds come out of my mouth. But this is what I do all day, every day. I have a certain competency, consistency. People tell me that prompts that I recorded, 10 years ago still dovetail really well with prompts that I've done today. So yeah, it pays to do it properly.
So, tell us about some of your other enterprise customers.
Yeah. So the other interesting thing, and I was really glad that Abby mentioned Slack. So there's a company called Voice Metrics, and they approach me. They develop apps that are voice enabled for platforms like Slack, Zipline, QuickBooks Online, REST API. They do a lot of integration of voice platforms, and they are actually developing me as a swap-in upgraded voice for I can't believe I didn't even say it. Amazon Alexa. I'm so excited about the news. So I will actually be an
You're going to be
upgraded
Amazon Alexa?
on those certain apps. Now, Slack, they actually passed on having the app directly in their store, but you will still be able to have the option of upgrading to my voice for Amazon Alexa and Google Home. So this is huge, massive news. Yeah, I've already recorded.
That's really cool.
I know, which means also that people will actually be swearing at me a lot, and I won't even know about it because, Mhm.
Well, you know what the other thing is? You
What's
got
that?
to get into the navigation field.
I've wanted to for years. Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
I remember sometimes sitting in the cars and changing between the different voices. I'll be like, well, the British voice is good today.
I know. That's always been the dream. I would love to be a nav voice, especially because mine, for some reason, she'll say things like, turn left on Memorial Doctor. It's Drive. I understand doctor being in the database, turn right on Dr. Martin Luther King Circle. Drive should definitely be in that database, don't you think? Crazy. Yeah. So you could actually have the option of swapping me in soon on things like Zipline and Slack and many other apps. So super excited about it.
Very, very, very cool. So what else is happening in the, we've touched a little bit about IoT, but like, so what do you think the future of IoT is? What's happening now? What's going
Yeah.
forward? What do you
Yeah.
see? Like how do you think these things are going to all tie in together? And
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing how things are progressing and the speed at which they're progressing. All I can tell you is that I am blown away with the quality that things like Google Voice is able to get right now. I remember when I did the Kestrel text to speech voice, that's still their number one seller, the Allison voice. Um, when I voiced that, guys in the industry were kind of kidding me about, oh, that's going to make you obsolete. It's going to steal your job. Well, no, it hasn't and it won't, because I think you can still kind of tell that it's a manufactured sound. It's great for interstitial fill-ins in IVR. It's not meant for the long haul. But I mean, the examples that I've heard of Google Voice, terrify me in a good way. And I think, after ComCon last summer, I was actually put in contact with one of the guys that attended there. He's a Google speech scientist, and he put me in contact with the team in California. So it's kind of hard to penetrate into that market, but at least I'm talking to the right people. But I want to time that right for when I retire, if I ever do, because that could actually replace me 100%.
so Google, like I forgot what the new Google stuff coming out is, but it's
Yeah.
really cool. And so I have a Pixel
Yeah.
3,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And in the Pixel 3, we're starting to see some of the really beginning of this stuff. And so it's not just call control.
Yeah.
It's real-time call control. So
Yeah.
there instead of answer reject, I have a
Mhm.
third button. And the third button
Ooh, the third
is
button.
monitor, right? And so a
Yeah.
voice comes on and it says, "Hi, we just really kind of want to know who you are," something like that. I don't know exactly
Right.
what it says. And
Yeah.
then the person starts speaking, and you can see the response in text in real time. But
Yeah.
here's the differential. You
Yeah.
can then take over the call.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's really cool. I mean, they have
And,
stuff like, after
I
the
think
call's over, you get the transcription, that type of stuff. But this is real
oh,
time. It's it's in the call. It's like another step beyond.
it absolutely. And, I think it even goes further. I think they can even determine emotional metrics. You could monitor a call and they could say, this person is a little angry. They use it in call centers all the time where they say there's someone, queued up and they are an unhappy customer. There's the technology available of saying, it's that time of the week where you should call your mother. Last time you called her, there was a little bit of an edge to your voice. So you might want to, be nicer to her. It's terrifying, the capabilities that we'll have soon and
And
probably
that'll
still have.
generate tons of call volume.
Exactly. So I don't know. I don't think I'm heading to obsolescence, but I do think that the manufactured
No.
voices now are so incredibly intuitive, and you blend in machine learning and all that with it. It's amazing. My great nephew is 2.5 years old, and he has already figured out how to go, "Okay, Google," to signify that he wants to watch, Paw Patrol.
And so when you're talking about all this programmable voice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the basic, the person that is on there, it's just so computerized. This
Yeah.
ties into what we talked about earlier, is how when I called you, I just wanted to put together a demo. And so
Yeah.
wait here, I'm going to play the
Oh,
demo.
you're going to play it. Excellent.
Yep. So here we go. Let's hope it works.
Hello. Did you want me to connect you to Michael?
Never.
Oh.
A little bit of.
So why did you call? Good day to you.
You see, you
Right.
wrote me a script where I was free to play a little bit. So that's what I love.
Hello. Did you want me to connect you to Michael? I'm distracted. Can we start from the beginning?
Yes.
Did you want me to connect you to
Oh,
Michael?
sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, it works.
Give you the available.
Yay!
See? And so it's so much warmer. It's like night and day. And so
Yeah.
when you talk about this stuff, I think this opens up, I don't think it's the end of free recordings. I think it opens up enormous markets.
Right. Exactly. Now, what do you think about the idea I've been hearing a lot about lately about calls having to put a disclaimer saying you are listening to a recording, as opposed to somebody buying into the idea that this could actually be a real person? It's running into
I
all
don't know,
sorts of
I've never
legalities about. Yeah.
I've never heard that. You're used to hearing like you hear when you call a company, you hear like your call is being recorded for quality assurance, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
now you're saying that you're recording stuff where it's somewhere along the lines of you get the quality assurance, and then you may be speaking to a
Yeah.
computer.
Absolutely. I've had to record a couple saying you are about to listen to a recording. So, it's almost like a magazine where they have to put maybe it's just in Canada, they have to put the words advertisement at the top of an ad that looks like there might be some confusion as to whether or not this is an article or an advertisement. They are legally
Right,
obligated to
like
put
in
that.
the
It would be that kind
Yeah,
of
we have
disclaimer that says it's a recording. Don't try to talk to a real person. But it's a hazy, weird area. But yeah, I don't know. It's
the
an exciting time to
advertorial
be
section in
alive.
the newspapers.
Advertorial, exactly. Yes. I mean, Michael, I remember when you used to have to just pick up the phone to determine who it was on the other end, and it could be, oh God, it's Karen. I didn't want to talk to her. That kind of thing. So yeah. Yes, I'm old.
But even something like this, so even something like I just played you, it has so many implications because, a lot of people have it out there because there's so much spam calling and there's so many auto dialers and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
mean, especially if it's an advertised phone number, then all of a
Yes.
sudden the spammers pick it up and you have all these calls. And and
Oh
and
yes.
and sometimes like I'll be on the phone, I'll see these calls coming through, and you think they're legitimate calls.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it could
Yeah.
disrupt other communications, which is a little scary. It really
Oh,
is. And so,
absolutely. Yeah.
this market, I think it's such a good market.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree. Yeah. Definitely.
so also,
Yes.
your voice is now the voice of FreeSWITCH
I
as well as
know.
Asterisk.
It's great.
And
It
that's
has been for a
exciting.
while. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I did the core sounds. When was that? It was probably like a year and a half ago. So they're there and they're available to any FreeSWITCH user, but also there's customized prompts that you probably need. So how do they order that, Michael? Tell the people.
They go to your website.
You go to my website, but there's also a link on FreeSWITCH. So I think they're going to put that up in the show notes. So you can just go straight there and order your FreeSWITCH prompts. Why wouldn't you? Have it done properly by a pro. Don't grab somebody in your office because, they might get promoted or quit, and then you're going to have to integrate another voice onto your system. Whereas I am available, same day turnaround, affordability, and yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Right. And so there's a consistency too, because as you're going through the IVRs, you want those voicemail boxes to match up with every other component. And that's
Oh,
where the
absolutely.
real professionality starts coming through with that stuff.
Absolutely. I'll call you on that word. I don't know if professionality is a word. Okay. Uh, so it's totally okay.
It's
But
like
yeah, and
performance.
and if anything, I would just encourage people to take some chances with your IVR. If you're, kind of an irreverent upstart company that's kind of catering to a younger, irreverent group, why not use your IVR to reflect a little bit of that attitude? That's all I ask, is that it can be used for so much more than asking people to select the appropriate option. It really should set the tone as to what it's going to be like to deal with the company, if that makes sense.
And so you did a haiku for some of my friends.
Yes, I did. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. Yeah, so that was the Cloud Onyx guys from Israel. That was so funny. Yeah, yeah. And actually, I had to try to find Japanese sakura music to play in the background. But yeah, it was great. It was an IVR haiku. I wish I had it handy. It's on my other computer. It was fun. Yeah.
So what else do you see within the industry?
Yeah, I think, I think telephony is advancing. The interesting phenomenon, though, is with Asterisk, it may actually be used less as an IVR. I have noticed a big kind of a downtick in Asterisk business. I still get a lot of direct legacy clients that use Asterisk, but as for orders that come through the Digium site, now the Sangoma site, we'll have to see exactly what happens with that whole merging and acquisition. I think it's good news for me having everything kind of amalgamated, but yeah, I think the nature of perhaps Asterisk did change and it's being used less as an IVR. But for FreeSWITCH users, it would seem to be kind of an obvious thing for end users and customers of FreeSWITCH integrators and installers for them to include the idea of custom recordings, just so their system is done right and reflects their company brand and identity.
So what's the craziest recording you've done?
Oh, gosh. There's been a few. Actually, there was a very strange prompt that actually came through Digium. It was for... I presume it was a Japanese company, not sure. It was an automated toilet that had a security feature. So once the bathroom door is closed, it can only be opened by the user's handprint on the back of the door. So it's like a safety feature that prevents somebody from following you into the stall and assaulting you. So basically, as soon as people close the door and they sat down, then my voice comes out of nowhere and says, this door can only be opened by a handprint on the back of the door. So that was a little strange.
It'd be interesting to see how that product actually worked, because
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that got trapped in that bathroom.
Oh, absolutely. And not understanding what? I put my hand where? What? I can't get out. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, I mentioned before this call went live, I actually just finished doing a series of auto dialers. I do them for various states, but they actually call registered sex offenders, I'm afraid, and tells them that they're in violation of their parole. So yeah. So now when people say, oh, I got a call from you the other day, I go, really? Did you now? Interesting.
Hey, Allison, kind of following up on Michael's craziest question, what's probably the funniest thing you've ever done for somebody like IVR or related?
Actually, there was a company, I think they were out of Seattle, and they were a publisher of murder mystery books and manuscripts and stuff like that. So they actually wrote their IVR like it was a dark and stormy night and she pressed 1 for accounting. Like, it was neat. They tried to meld this idea that they produce these scary murder mystery books and they wanted their IVR to reflect that. So, Ken, I'm sure there's so many other funny stories. I'm just kind of blanking. There's some that I literally cannot believe that I'm reading it. Yeah, give me a second, chat amongst yourselves, and I'll sort of burst in with stories, I'm sure. The point is, I'm actually really open to doing pretty much anything. And Brian West can tell you, he sent me probably some of the craziest stuff I've ever recorded has come from that brain.
Yeah. I mean, going back years, I think, didn't Brian try to figure out what you wouldn't do at one point in time?
Yes, he kept pushing that edge, and I think we came to the conclusion that really there's very little I won't do. I'll even do some profanity if there's kind of a comic payoff. But the biggest story about Brian is at the very first Astricon, he headed towards me all enthusiastic, and he said, "Moose penis." He kept yelling "moose penis" at me, and I had forgotten that he got me to record the phrase "moose penis." And so I just thought it was some sort of strange Atlanta greeting that they
Turn around
do.
and just start running.
Yeah. So,
honey, this guy just started walking at me and started saying "moose penis." I know him, but I'm not really sure what to do.
exactly. So I just thought, keep it together. This is probably some strange Southern greeting. I'm out shopping the next day going "moose penis" to people, and they're like, "What?"
But you do get groupies, right?
Oh, well, I don't know about groupies. No, I kind of have a little bit of a fan base. It's very strange. I don't know. For like a week out of the year, I'm semi-famous in that industry, and I love it. I pose for photos and I sign autographs, and it's fun. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird kind of fame that I don't think I'm deserving of. I just keep my head down and do recordings all year long, and then when I attend these conferences, there's a little bit of a. Yeah, I actually did a streaming.
And it's true. Like I've seen it. People will like gravitate towards you.
Yeah, well, the best story is there was one Astricon where I headed into the exhibit hall with Mark Spencer. We were kind of arm in arm. And there was a group of attendees. I think they were from South America, probably Chile, someplace like that. And they're heading towards us. So I thought, okay, I need to get out of the way and make room because they want to, molest Mark. But no, what they did is they physically pushed Mark Spencer out of the way. They did this and they went, Allison. Yeah, so that was hilarious. They actually had no interest in Mark, which isn't right because he's the daddy. And the fun thing about Mark recently, I should tell you this, he had me record prompts for his aviation company. Evolution is the name of the company. And so I actually fulfilled my lifelong dream of saying prompts like pull up, terrain. So this is like cockpit warning sounds. Amazing. Hopefully we'll never actually hear them in real time. I hope not.
Okay, so, well, thank you for coming in today.
Oh, thank you so much. This is fun. This is great fun.
Do we have any? I see there's a comment somewhere. Here, wait, let me switch over.
Oh, okay. Probably from Brad.
That's just a link to that's a link to where to buy the prompts.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No questions, comments, observations
from the audience. We got something from the audience.
I don't see anything on
Yeah,
Slack.
I'm not popular at all.
So for anybody that wants it real quick, well, let's get a plug in for Allison Smith. Go to freeswitch.com/OSS/Allison. And you too can get your prompts for, get her to record your prompts. And you'll get all kinds of really cool stuff out there. So any other plugs you want to get in today, Allison?
I think I'm good, Ken. I think, we've talked about everything. It's looking to be a busy year coming up, but never too busy to do prompts for the FreeSWITCH community. So send those orders in, and I'll give you priority.
Right.
Thank you for coming in. You're always welcome. It's always a blast having you here.
Michael, you're a blast. I'm just trying to keep up with you.
Back to you, Ken.
All right. Thank you very much, Allison Smith, Michael Malverudas. Join us every week, guys. You'll see Mike Malverudas, myself, Abby, and the rest of the crew here. And if you have any questions for the team for Community Corner, if you have a specific person you'd like to ask a question to, be sure to get that out there on the mailing list. Email us at marketing@freeswitch.org, and you can that'll get there. We'll get that into the queue. You can even say, hey, I want to get a question from Brian. Maybe it's not one of the core team members. Maybe it's somebody like Josh or Fred or one of the other, people that work with the SignalWire team and with the FreeSWITCH team, and you want to find out what they've been working on, or you have a problem that you think they can address, be sure you contact us with that and let us know, and we'll get them in here to answer your questions. Don't forget, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and for everybody watching on the YouTube, click that little subscribe button down below, and then right next to it, there's a little bell. Click that, and you'll get the alerts when we go live. Don't forget to share the videos there, too, for everybody else to see. We'll see you guys next week.
You've been watching ClueCon Weekly. Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central. Keep up with the latest happenings by subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or visit us at FreeSWITCH.com.